Hi guys, as you work your way through the personal finance game of life, I wanted to make a few tutorials so that in case you got stuck, you could refer to these tutorials to hopefully help you out. This first tutorial is all about life decisions. So the first life decision that I want you to make is your career choice. The website I'd like you to go to for your career choice is called the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which on this one I've hyperlinked to as just the BLS. If you click that link, it will take you to a website that looks like this. When you're on this website, what you would like to do first is scroll down to Student Resources. Once you're in Student Resources, where I'd like you to go next is Career Exploration. Now, for starters, there's a lot of different general categories that will help you narrow down a career choice. Within these categories, they actually have some jobs. Now, this doesn't have every job that exists everywhere, so if you don't find the thing that you want to do in here, make sure you hit this button right here. You can type in the career choice right here and search for it. But for me, I found something that I think I could follow. So once you finally found your career on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the information that I want you to take back to the personal finance game of life is how much you would make per year, how much school you would need to go through to get that career, as well as find out any other type of information about what that kind of job entails. So here's what high school teachers do, here's the work environment, so on and so forth. So after finding out that a high school career after finding out that a high school teacher makes on average $57,000 a year, I took that right here, I wrote my job, I wrote the annual salary. The next step is to find out what does this salary translate to in terms of how much money I make per month. In order to find that out, I would go to this link down here, which says take home pay per month. This will take you to a website that's called Paycheck City. It's a calculator. And the things that you'll need to know for this are that you'll want to change it to the state that you plan on living in. So for me, that's Colorado. The gross pay is the amount of money that you just found in the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That is my annual salary, so I'll leave that as annual. This number I will leave as 0. It's just my gross salary year to date. The pay frequency that I want you to find out is for the month, because they're making a monthly budget here. Federal filing status means single or married. Typically, if you're single, you pay a little bit more in taxes than if you plan on getting married, so you can change that if you want. You can leave the number of federal allowances at 0, although if you plan to have children, you can change it to the number of children you plan to have. You can leave the additional federal withholding here. And honestly, you can leave everything else as is, and by scrolling down to the bottom, you can just hit calculate. Sorry, sometimes it takes a while to prepare results. And what you'll find out here is your monthly gross pay. So according to this, my monthly gross pay would be $4,766. It also gives you how much money they plan on taking out. The federal withholding is your national taxes. The Social Security comes out as well. Medicare comes out as well. And your Colorado state taxes come out. So after all those things are taken out, you can see what your net pay per month is. You'll take all these figures back into the game of life. And once you do, it will look like this. I put all those figures in. Here's my take-home pay per month. And the last thing that you need to do in this part is you need to allot at least 10% of your salary for savings. So when I looked at this, 10% of $3,300 was roughly $330. And now I've kind of figured out how much money I have to spend for everything else. For this box right here, education, it's based on your career choice, as it says. So my career choice was a teacher, so I needed to find out what kind of level of education I needed. Just a high school degree? Did I need to get some specific training, or did I need to go to college? Well, as I saw on the last slide here, I needed to go to college. In order to become a teacher, I needed to get at least a bachelor's degree, and so that's what I wrote there. The next thing I want you to find out after you find out how much education it's going to take for your chosen careers to see how much it would actually cost. So by going to this link that says cost of education, you can then choose a state that you plan on going to school in. For me, that's Colorado. I love Colorado. I'll search for it. And you'll see this for every state. There are a lot of colleges. Maybe you already have an idea of what college you go to. Maybe you'll have to explore this a little bit more. For me, I just went right down to the University of Colorado Boulder. And I found out basically on this website that when they add everything in, including room, board, tuition, fees, so on and so forth, that it costs about $28,720. This is per year because it says annual cost. So since I know that a bachelor's degree is going to take me about 4 years, I then had to take this number times 4 to see what the total cost of education would be. And once I did that, I found that the total cost of education was $114,880. That's obviously a lot of money. Now, college can be paid for in many ways, such as having summer jobs, parents help some, maybe you'll have a bond or a scholarship that will help you a little bit. And so for the purposes of this game, instead of taking this whole number right here, I'm going to let you just take the expected student loan debt per state. Let me show you how that works. So once you're here, what I'd like you to click on from this link is the state-by-state data. You can just scroll over the state that you plan to go to school in. For me, that was Colorado. And it says that in Colorado, the average debt that people walk away from college with is $25,000, essentially. And it says that about 56% of people have debt when they leave school in Colorado. So based on that figure, I go back to the personal finance game of life. I write that number right here. And then that's the number that I'm going to take into my student loan payment loan calculator. So when I go there, the loan amount, for the loan amount, that's where I'm going to put that $25,000 number. It doesn't like commas in these calculators, so don't use commas. I'm going to change the loan term to 10 years because typically people take a while to pay off their student loans. I'm going to leave the interest rate as is because that is the average for student loans right now. And then I'm going to calculate to see how much I would pay per month if I spread this out over 10 years. And it looks like I'd pay about $277 a month for my student loans. Now you can see that I put that number right here. The next thing I want you to figure out, are you going to be married or not? Obviously, this is a personal choice. If you choose yes, then you can assume that your spouse will already be working and can add to your monthly income. However, you can't choose your spouse's career as being something that they'll make so much money that it will make any of the rest of a monthly budget difficult to figure out. So I've decided that the max income that your spouse can make is $30,000. In real life, it might be different than this, but for this one, $30,000 is the number you'll use. And you'll do the same thing that you did with your salary over here. You'll take it into the take-home pay calculator, and then I want you to find out, after all these things are taken out, what would be your spouse's take-home pay, and you'll put that number right here. The next thing I want you to figure out is Rugrats or no. This means children. Do you want children or not? You can enter the number of children you want here. It can be anywhere from 0 to however many your heart desires. What I would like you to do next, after you figured out how many children you want, is to go to this link that says annual cost per kid. Now you'll see there's a lot of directions here. I'll get into those directions once we're at the link. You first choose a region. You have to choose whether you're a single parent or no. You have to add in your household income to your spouse's. You want to go 15 years to the future, although you might not have kids immediately, so you can really choose any of these right here. And then you have to choose whether you're going to pay for their education or not. Once you've done all those things, you hit calculate. Now there's a lot of categories here. However, you're going to figure a lot of these out later on down the road in the personal finance game of life. So the only two categories I want you to be concerned with are the miscellaneous category and the child care and education category. Once you have these two, I want you to add these two up. And this is the annual cost, meaning yearly. So once you've added these two up, you have to divide by 12. So I added those two categories up. I divided by 12. And this is the amount of money I can plan on paying for a kid per month. I only chose to have one for mine, so I'd leave that number like this. If you plan on having more, then you can times it by however many kids you plan on having. The last thing that I want you to find out is location, location, location. This means that depending on where you live, there's going to be a different cost of living. So if you go to this link right here, it shows you how much you can plan on the price index being for different places across the United States. Now, the person who made this came from Prague, and so it's a pretty arbitrary price index score that it's based off of, but it does give you an idea of how expensive US cities are compared to each other. So if you scroll down, what you'll see is different price index scores. Obviously, to no one's surprise, New York City has the highest price index. San Francisco is close behind. I want to live in Colorado. It doesn't have every city in the whole country here, so you'll have to choose the city that's closest to where you want to live. For me, that's Denver. And I see that Denver, according to this chart, is the 15th most expensive city or location in the United States. It has a price index score of 195. So I'm going to then take that information back here. Nothing goes in this box, but I'd write Denver, Colorado for my choice. And then it says price index score 195. What does this mean for my monthly budget? Well, it means that the cost of living in Denver may be pretty high. That's certainly true right now. All right, once you figured out all those things, you've now figured out your life decisions. This is the first part of the game of life, and it's probably the most time consuming. The next tutorial will take you through lifestyle decisions. This is the fun stuff.